operating the store or designing the handbags in her side business, she approached everything with precision now. Working with Georgia had been the best training she could ever have received for running a business. Two businesses, really. Her own handbag company, Perry Pocketbook, as well as Georgia's store. Still, Perry felt she had done a lot to keep things going since Georgia passed away, and now that she was pushing 30, she was beginning to feel a desire to move. In what direction, she wasn't sure. But there would be no more Walker and daughter without her. Of that she was certain. Sometimes it wasn't very satisfying to work so hard for something that essentially belonged to someone else. It was hers, but not really hers at all. For one thing, Dakota seemed less and less interested in the store during the last year or so, grumbling on the Saturdays when she came in to work, typically late, and sometimes appearing to simply roll out of bed and throw on whatever clothes she could find. It was quite a change from her early teens, when she seemed to relish her time at the shop. And yet there remained brief moments when her world-weary attitude would disappear, and Perry could see the whispers of the bright-eyed, wise-cracking little kid who loved to bake and could spend hours knitting with her mother in the store's back office or the apartment they had shared 1 floor above the yarn shop. The shop was located on 77th and Broadway, just above Marty's Deli, amid boutiques and restaurants in Manhattan's Upper West Side. Only a few blocks from the green of Central Park and the cool of the Hudson River in the opposite direction, it was a lovely part of the city. Oh, certainly there was lots of noise. Honking taxis, the rumble of the subway underneath the streets, the sound of heels on the sidewalk, and cell phone conversations swirling all around. But that was the type of commotion that had appealed to Georgia Walker when she moved in. She didn't mind the beeping of the Coke truck at 5 a.m., bringing supplies to the deli on the street level, not if it meant she got to live right inside the action, showing her daughter the world she had barely imagined herself, growing up on a farm in Pennsylvania. Of course, now Perry lived in the upstairs apartment that had been Georgia's, and the back office was no more. The wall had recently been blown out to make a separate showcase for the handbags she designed and sold. Each purse was individually displayed on a clear acrylic shelf mounted onto a wall painted a deep gray. The change to the store had come together after much discussion with Anita and with Dakota, and they'd consulted Dakota's father, James, too, of course, though mostly for his architectural expertise. But it made financial sense. Perry had turned Dakota's childhood bedroom in the apartment into an office, so there was no need to tally up receipts in the shop anymore. Why waste the store's valuable real estate? And there had always been the understanding, with Georgia and with James and Anita after Georgia died, that her handbag business would have the chance to flourish. She had reminded them of that while purposefully avoiding the one ultimatum she knew everyone most feared. She would leave the store if she wasn't able to remodel. The concern hung in the air, and she saved voicing it unless it was absolutely necessary. After all, what would happen to the store if Perry left? Anita, who had turned 78 on her last birthday, though she still looked just barely old enough to collect Social Security, certainly wouldn't be about to take over. Though she continued to arrive 2 days a week to help out and keep busy, as she said, Anita and Marty spent a lot of their time going on quick trips, by train or car, to wonderful country inns in New England and in Canada. Those two were on a perpetual vacation, and Perry was happy for them. Envious a little bit, definitely. Hopeful that she'd have the same thing someday. And if that legal department co-worker her pal K.C. kept mentioning was half as cute as he'd been described, who knew what could happen? And then there was Dakota, who had just finished up her first year at NYU. It wasn't as though she could step in to run the store, or that she even seemed to want to do so anymore. Not everyone wants to go into the family business. Perry's decision to work at the yarn shop and create her own designs had not been popular within her own family. Her parents had wanted her to become a lawyer.